Yo, what's going on? It is 3 p.m. here in New Vienna, Iowa, everybody. So that means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, October 8th, 2020. And because it's Thursday, that means it's happy hour. Today, I've got a beer from Exile Brewing Company out of Des Moines, Iowa. It is their Oktoberfest. I've never had this beer before. Sorry, I got to fix my earbuds. Yeah, sorry. I was doing something weird. I was getting some feedback in there. The other thing I forgot to do is I forgot to start the recording for the people listening after the fact. So let me get that started up real quick too. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not on the ball today. Right. So that's starting too. Awesome. Welcome to everybody who is listening to the audio version of the podcast. Today I've got Oktoberfest beer from Exile Brewing Company. Gonna open this guy up because it's happy hour. And cheers to everybody. We made it to Thursday. All right, let's see who we got here today. We've got Stevie76 here, Frank LaHoulier, Steve, Chris Yao says, hello. I'm so slow, my CO2 max is overflowing. Awesome, because Stevie76 earlier says, my VO2 max is overflowing. And that today is the word of the day. I think it was Remy's idea yesterday. Sorry, I gotta pick the right setting for this because it's just I'm getting like a weird echo in my headphones. All right, I think that's there we go. That's better. It was Remy's idea yesterday to have a word of the day in the video for that day and then have that translate over to the word of the day for the live stream. So that's what we're trying today. We'll see. Frank LaHoulier already, I think maybe getting tired of the word of the day saying, has anyone actually gotten their V word measured? Which I haven't. I've not. I've talked to a couple of people on Instagram before saying that they know a coach who does it like outside. Like they could do it on a track. They have like a different kind of rig that they can use so you don't have to actually go to a lab to do it. And I kept meaning to do it. And also like I mean, technically I'm still a member of an Equinox gym in the Loop in Chicago. Although I haven't been there in 6 months, still paying for it. But there, I don't think at that gym, but I think that you can sign up for like a full training like diagnostic session and do a VO2 max test. I think in the Lincoln, no, maybe it's the Gold Coast location. So there's places that I think that I can get it done in Chicago. I'm sure there's many places in Chicago that I could have gotten done, but I never did. Certainly not going to go get it done right now. But today's video was about the Polar Vantage V2. And has a run test. They call it the run test, but it's a VO2 max test. You keep running until you give up, basically. So that was kind of interesting. JC said, stopping by to say hi. Going to miss another one. Dang work. Y'all have a beer for me? Well, cheers to that, JC. Enjoy work. Emma Wilhelm is here. Enough. Frank LaHoulier says, I have enough questions about the word of the day that I was semi-seriously looking at it, what it would take to get into the PhD program in kinesiology the other day. It's a cool, I forget what podcast was I listening to. Oh, I was listening to a podcast this morning. We listened to the Morning Shakeout podcast. Mario Fratelli was interviewing Killian Jornet. And Killian was saying, like, since he was a younger kid, like 16 years old or so, he became very interested in like being very data oriented in science and studying that. And I can relate to that for sure, that I used to be very curious about. Now, at the time, I was more interested in basketball. So I was interested in thinking about like how one could make their legs stronger for jumping, primarily was my biggest thing. I felt like I was reasonably fast. I was fast enough. And I had endurance enough to still be fast throughout the entire game. But I just felt like I was a little bit small. And so I felt like if I can work on some other aspects of the game in a scientific way, that would be interesting. And so I got super into that. I got very into plyometrics back in the early 90s, mid 90s. And I kind of, it's one of those things where there's like potentially about 10 different, like in, the alternate universes we keep talking about, where Kofuzi has a completely different job depending on different things that have like really piqued my interest over the years. And the older I get, the more like from a younger age, all those like divergent ways that I think the universes could have gone seem so disparate. But the older I get, the more all those things seem to like come into a head. And so it's just kind of weird the way that I guess time works. But so that's kind of vague. Sorry about that. Let's see, we got Martha's in here today. Roberto Davila says, I think my VO2 is negative. He didn't say VO2 max, but we'll give it word of the day status. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. That's a little bit loud. And as here says, hi, Kafuzi and everybody. C Drive 300 says, am I too old to have a VO2? I think that's, maybe I'll do like one or two more of those. Like if it comes up in regular conversation later, but that's getting to be a lot. But I don't think anyone's too old to have a VO2. But the test was rigorous. I wasn't sure. And the way that the Polar Vantage V test works is there's one that you could do to like 85% and it like stops you at a certain spot, or you can run till basically you don't feel like you can run anymore. And that's the one I did. They called it the maximal test, which I thought was more akin to an actual VO2 max test. So, I mean, I guess I could have done it so it wasn't so hard. So, but I thought I'd go for the full Monty on it. Philip Bornins here says, hello, everyone. JP wondering, I forgot I could do this. JP says, why isn't the work week over yet? That's a good question. Yeah, it's been an eventful week. Stevie76 says, yo, what's going on? And you know what I like about being able to show you guys the comments now, or I guess show you guys the comments now, is that now you guys can see the emojis that I'm seeing. So I'll still try to explain the emojis for everyone listening, but it's a beer mug emoji, like a frosty beer mug emoji. So very cool, Stevie. Corey Villancourt says, Monday's a holiday at least. Well, kind of. Oh, I forgot about that. Monday's Columbus Day. Yeah. Or Indigenous Peoples Day, depending on where you are. There was a guy that I used to teach with, and one time, I taught classes on Fridays, and on Friday we were like, "Well, Happy Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday," and he got really, really mad about it, and I thought he was joking. So, but I very quickly found out he wasn't joking. He was super mad. He was like, Christopher Columbus did so much. And what, just because he's Italian, you can, just ignore his contribution to human history. And I was like, dude, sorry. He got real mad. He stormed off. And I was like, I hope that there was something else going on there. And I just got him at the wrong moment, but he did not appreciate that I called it Indigenous Peoples Day. So that was unusual, but I think with him, he's very proud Italian American, and I think over the years he's been feeling very slighted by the ways that I don't know. I have a hard time. I can kind of relate to it because I feel like it's in a way, I guess progressive culture has been very permissive of kind of like poo-pooing on white immigrant Americans. But I mean, that's a weird hill to die on, I think. Sorry about that. That got off on a really weird tangent. Roadrunner Reviews is here. Awesome. Good to see you. Matt Frederick says, got my half off Boston 9s today. I ran the fastest 5K I ran since high school, cross country a couple of days ago. Feeling good. Awesome. Well, we're definitely we're going through all the sound effects today. We're going to need to get that cowbell going. That only takes a while to spin. There we go. There's that cowbell. Good job, Matt. Congratulations on a fast 5K today. And you did it on half off Boston 9s. I mean, that's a great sentence. I got half off Boston 9s and ran the fastest 5K I ran since high school. What a great sentence. Good job, Matt. Martha says, if my Garmin knows me now for over a year, is its estimate of my VO2 max, one more time. Martha asks, if my Garmin knows me now for over a year, is its estimate of my VO2 max very accurate? I don't know. Like that's something that I would love to see a YouTube video of like Koros, Garmin, now Polar, and like an actual lab VO2 max machine. comparing like the 4. Like I would hope that your Garmin at least gives you the same, or gives you an accurate number. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm sure it gives you an accurate gauge of your fitness. So like when it's telling you like your VO2 max is increasing, it's because you're becoming more fit and you've been doing certain kinds of workouts. But I don't know if, like, the bigger question is like, there's two big questions, but like the biggest question is, does like the number the Garmin gives you, or does the Garmin number the Polar give you, correlate to a number like a lab VO2 max could give you? And then I think like kind of the underlying question underneath all of that is, and are the tables that people have created, mainly Jack Daniels and the people that he's worked with, that create those tables that say like, here's like the 5K, half marathon, 10K marathon paces that people could achieve based on those VO2 max numbers. Like, is that accurate? I would say probably yes, because no one's come out and like discredited Jack Daniels' work, and it's been highly regarded for decades now. But the primary question still exists, is like, okay, it's giving me a number. Like, is it work? Frank, I think it was Frank that asked in the video comments, which I have to go check. I gotta go look at the Coros watch and see if I wore it for like almost 200 miles, I want to say, including bike miles though. So like probably 100 or so running miles. And I think it calculated a VO2 max for me, but it's more of an extrapolation because it didn't do a run test to, like a run to failure kind of test. So I'll have to see if it gave me the same number or not. That's kind of like the other thing. So that'll be an interesting comparison too. So maybe I need to do that and at least get the Garmin. I mean, if I can't do like the VO2 max test, the real one, at least I could do like the 3 watches and see if they're at least consistent. So maybe that's something we'll do. Ilya Kim says, hey, oh really? Considering Coros Pace 2. I think the Coros Pace 2 is a really good watch for the price, $250. And I feel like it has all the sensors. There's 1 or 2 things that it's missing from the Apex, which I feel like the Coros Pace 2 was a big jump. It was a really big jump from the Pace in terms of what it was offering. And so like, I feel like if Coros doesn't make a big jump at the Apex when it updates the Apex, it's going to be skewed. Their price points are going to be all weird, I think. So like that's like a weird. So yeah, I mean that's a really good watch at the price of the Pace 2. But I mean, it sold out like as soon as they announced it, and I don't know if it's back in stock. I haven't checked recently. Tony Massius says, my Garmin had a VO2 max at 64, and I was lab tested at the same time at 69. Oh wow. I mean, wow on a couple of levels, Tony. Those VO2 max numbers are pretty incredible. That's ridiculously high. But to be off by 5, I think that's a lot. I think that's a real lot. Crazy. Yeah, Daniel M says, Tony, that's really great. My VO2 is only in the 50s. Yeah, that's where that's what mine was for today, like that I got yesterday. I mean, I do want to say though, I had like kind of 2 workouts a workout each day, days before, but I mean, I don't think that matters that much, but just putting it out there. Maybe I could do a little bit better than 56, but I felt like 56 was pretty. I still think that 56 is kind of a high number for me. When I look at like the pace charts that comes to. So, all right, let's see. We got some more comments down here. Where's that one from Ennis here? I wanted to look at. Oh, here we go. Ennis says, Kofu's a good video today. I think your VO2 max would be higher if it was over your regular training. Those tests are tough. Garmin gives me a VO2 max of 61 and you are faster than me. I mean, yeah. I mean, yesterday though, I don't know if you guys remember, but I was planning on yesterday being a rest day, but it turned out after we did a little bit of a family hike that I was able to slip out for like 30 minutes. I was like, I'm going to go do this test real quick. Cause then I'm still kind of resting. Or at least I thought I was. I didn't realize how like rigorous the run test would be. I didn't know that it was like an actual like VO2 max simulation. Cause like the other tests on this watch are like lay down for 30 seconds. Now stand up for 30 seconds. So I was like, oh, it's a run test. It'll just gonna have me jog around for a little bit. I'll be fine. But yeah, so I was like pretty rested on the day, But, like I said, I had some other workouts I did. I mean, do people taper for and rest up for a VO2 max test? That I don't know. That doesn't seem right either. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think the value in it is if I keep doing it over and over again. Like yesterday, I didn't really know what I was doing. So for the most of the time, well, I kind of felt like it was pretty accurate to a marathon race. Most of the time, I felt like I was running the exact wrong pace. So there was that. So there was a little bit of kind of discombobulation. And so we'll see if I can get that number to be different next time, but we'll see. But Innes, VO2 max is 61. Impressive. Good work. Yeah, Martha says, I wore my Garmin for a couple all-out 5K, so it knows my hardest effort. It says I'm in the top 1% for age, gender, so I'd like to think it's close. Well, I'm sure that is, and I'm sure if you've worn it for a 5K effort, then if it's just determining it from your overall activity, kind of like Stride does, can pull it from pull out your critical power from your overall activity. I would think that if you've done a couple 5Ks, then it should have a real good idea of what your VO2 max should be. The question is what is the formula that they're using? Is there an established formula of determining that? Or did Polar have to hire a sports scientist to be here's the algorithm you should use once you devise this test? And did Garmin hire a scientist or have a scientist in-house that could be well, based on the research, we don't have to have anyone do a test, but if you run enough with it, we get to know, about the runner, and then we can do X, Y, Z. So that's the question. And that's the part where I feel a head-to-head comparison, I think, would be pretty interesting. But we'll have to see. I'll have to do it, I guess. Yeah. Simon Evans says, I ran a marathon on Sunday, and then afterwards, my VO2 max had dropped by a point. Screw you, Garmin. That's funny. I think it's funny that I see it a lot on Garmin, and maybe I think I see it a lot on all watches, but I think because Garmin has much bigger market share, I think that's why I see the images more. But I love seeing, I think it's funny seeing, I don't know if I love seeing it. Love's not the right word, but I think I enjoy seeing it when people are tapering and all their watches are suddenly you're detraining, or you're not being productive enough. And people are mad about it. And I'm yeah, it's pretty funny. We're also driven to continually improve that, even when we're resting. And we know we're resting up and recovering and getting ready for a big race. We feel insulted by a piece of an inanimate object that tells us that we're not working hard enough. I mean, I'm totally there with you. I'll be the first one to get mad about it, but I also just think it's funny. And it says, GTN used a static VO2 max test with Polar and then compared it to a lab test, and the results were very similar. And the guy who did the test wished he didn't bother. That's funny. I'll have to look that up. I haven't been watching any of the GTN videos. I watched a couple, I think, but the GCN videos I watch from time to time, and just because I was trying to figure out the bike a little bit more. So they have a lot of useful videos. And then the GRRN, is that what it is? Those are pretty good videos too. But yeah, I'll have to go look at that. But yeah, I mean, did he do it? And is he doing? I'll find it. But I wonder if he did it on a bike or if he did it on on a treadmill. But yeah, the test. I mean, here's the thing. It's I stopped when the test had me running at 550 something per mile, and that's fast. That's but it's not as fast as my mile pace, or it's about my mile pace. So it's what is my mile pace? I did a mile time trial a while ago, but so ultimately it's it shouldn't be that hard, but it's after a while, I just don't feel like running anymore. I didn't like this. So I was I really wish I had a partner, or at least someone on a bike or a finish line, something that I could be just get to that spot. But, I was just looking down a country road. It was just endless. And I was just this is a good time to stop as any. So that was hard. Yeah, maybe I don't want to do that video. Maybe that's why that video doesn't exist, because it would mean you have to do a run to failure 4 times. But I don't think you have to do that with Garmin. That's the thing. All right. Yeah. Oh, Lucy Sarah says, yo, what's going on? Super late. No problem. It's good to see you. Good to have you here. And it says it was a treadmill test. I'll try to find it and send me a link. Okay, cool. Because I would like to see that. Ryan Pauly says, my Apple Watch VO2 max score, we'll do it one more time. All right, I'm putting that sound away. He says, my Apple Watch VO2 max score has not gone down, and I haven't done any running or cycling in 30 days. Which app are you using to get a VO2 max on the Apple Watch? Because that's not from a default app, is it? I didn't know that it did that, because then it's another one that I'll have to include in the testing. Paul Kane says, exactly. I tapered for a half marathon and Stride adjusted my expected race time before the event. I felt insulted. Oh man, that's funny. So then, Paul, when that happened to you, so you've got your like race calculator based off of your critical power, and then you're tapering, and then Stride adjusts your time. Did you then go with the previous time that you thought you would go going in, or did you go with the new one that Stride gave you? That would be like, what should I do? That's funny. Yeah, 100 max power says these apps don't account for taper as well. Yeah, I feel like there should be a way. I mean, there should be like a button you could say like, but I guess like they do have that kind of, a lot of them. I was like thinking they should have a button that you can like, or a mode. You'd be like, I'm in taper mode, so don't give me a hard time. I'm doing my best to not run too much right now. So I feel like that's where it should be. Yeah, but I think for a lot of those, they don't have like, they all have like a running stress score, or like Polar has like what was it? Was it Metathon? What was it that I was using? There was like a Strava plugin that would tell me if I was undertrained, overtrained, or like ready. Does Polar have one? I know Stride has one. It's like your running stress score, where it tells you like, are you primed and ready to like take advantage of your fitness right now, or are you deep in training, or what? So like maybe that way is one way that you can kind of do that. Rohan Crane says the stock health app as in Watch OS 7 now. Oh yeah. Ryan Paul says this health app shows VO2 max. Oh, I'm gonna have to go look at that too. That's another one. All right. Got lots of ideas. This is awesome. Emma Wilhelm says, if you go into health on your phone and have Apple Watch, it show you and tracks it. Okay. Steve Gerzor says, is it true Kipchoge's VO2 max is 89.7? I don't know. Is there a table, like a row in the table for VO2 max of 89? And does it correspond to 2 hours in the marathon? Like, I wonder. Or basically when they wrote the table for 89 VO2 max, do they just put in like, well, his PR for the 5K is this, his PR of the 10K, and that's the numbers? I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much higher 89.7 would be compared to like, I don't know, anyone else that's an elite marathoner, but like compared to like normal human beings that run a lot, that's like ridiculously high. All right, Remy says, truth time. I went Kofuzi on my trail run this morning. Got a little carried away with the hot sauce last night. That's so funny. Did you find any corn? Oh, man, that's so funny, Remy. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate the honesty. Stevie76 says, I think Avin Drago is doing the VO2 max test in Rocky 4. And there's a boxing glove emoji right there. You know what? I think you're right, because he had like the big thing on his face and he was running, but I'll have to go back and look at it. But that the training montage when it's like Rocky like outside in the wood and I don't know where he was, but he was like chopping wood and like carrying logs through like 12 inches of snow. That, and then like Ivan Drago like inside that weird Russian training gym. Like that montage training scene is probably one of my favorite montage training scenes. And no joke, that used to be like my hype video. Like I would watch that to get myself excited, like the night before a race, or like anytime like I was getting, or like before like a basketball game, I would watch that because that would get me super hyped up. All that, and when I was a little bit, I guess I wasn't even that younger. I was probably way too old for this to be a hype video. But the scene in Home Alone where Kevin McAllister goes to the store, then eats the macaroni, and then like the clock chimes, the grandfather clock, and he's like, "It's time. It's my house. I have to defend it." And then there's the montage of him getting the house ready for when the robbers come. That also used to get me pretty hyped up. Yeah, because the soundtrack to that, it's really good. I want to say it's John Williams, but I don't think it's John Williams. But it's a really good composer who did that. The Home Alone score is just really, really good. But that's a side note. I'm trying to justify why I think Home Alone could be a good hype movie. Tony Masias says Lance Armstrong had reported VO2 max of 85 before his peak. They wouldn't release figures after he was doped up. Wow, that's crazy. So crazy. Marshenko goes, don't get scared now. Martha says, we watched Up last night because of some of you guys talked about how great it is a couple of weeks ago. We cried. It is such a good movie. It's so good. Yeah. Like the beginning 15 minutes are just so, I need a break after I watch it. It just makes me feel so many like regrets. Like every time I watch it, it just really hits a nerve for me. But yeah. Oh, X Truth says it is John Williams. I thought so. John Williams, he's just had such a career, that guy. Like, can you imagine being involved in all the movies he was involved in? Just so good. So good. Remy said, for his run in the trails today, there was no corn, but plenty of leaves around. Okay. Well, I'm glad. Mark Rennie says, leave no trace. Oh, so funny. All right. Nick Matthews says, Apple Watch's VO2 max rating is limited to between 14 and 60. They added it late last year. That's weird that they tap it out at 60. Like, were they like, and what's a VO2 max of 14? What's that? I want to know what that's like. Anyway. David Prabhu says, hola, Kofuzi. What's going on, David? Good to see you. Glad to have you here. All right. Chris Yas says, now that you've cried, I need a laugh. Watch Enola Holmes on Netflix. Good fun. I haven't seen that before. X Truth says, John Williams is the GOAT composer of this century. I mean, yeah, I'd say he's pretty good. You know who else I really like, though? I really like the guy who put together the soundtrack for the Batman Dark Knight series. Those are also really good. And those aren't more like, aren't exactly in the pure classical genre, but I just feel like that score is also really good. I have a Spotify playlist somewhere. I don't know if I made it public, where it's basically all like John Williams, and I forget the name of the composer who did the Dark Knight trilogy, but who scored those or composed the music for those. Because I know that can be a little bit different scoring and the person who composes the soundtrack for it. But he's done a lot of other work in film as well, and it's all very, very good. And that's pretty much that, and then the Tron soundtrack is on it too. Like there's like, that's it. But I'll have to share that with you guys sometime. Yeah. Let's see. Daniel M says, if all the Halloween movie monsters killers ran a 5K, who does everyone think would make the podium? That's an awesome question. I do not have the knowledge to answer that. I do not like scary movies at all. I don't know. I just get terrified by them. I don't like being scared in both of the ways that like scary movies can be scary. One is with just startle, like the cheap scare. I really just don't like the cheap scare, like camera tricks and like, something's going to happen and you don't know exactly when. And then all of a sudden, boom, something comes in from like the side of the screen. I detest that. I think it's a cheap scare. But I also I really don't like the other kind of scare is when I'm actually scared of something. So I don't watch scare movies. I don't like. I've never seen a Saw movie or a Ring. I never even watched Blair Witch Project. Like none of those movies. I mean, I thought about going back to watch Blair Witch Project like recently because I was like, I wonder like if that movie still holds up in an age where now we have like GoPros and everything, and people have like chest rigs and like that shooting style isn't so like new or novel. But like I just don't. But I would love to hear your guys' answers on that. Mr. Rand says, I still think Lance Armstrong is the man. All the cyclists of his time was on the juice. I just don't like how he went after some people. I think it's pretty complicated. I will kind of agree a little bit on that. I don't think it like absolves him of what he did, but from what I understand of the sport at the time. And I've never followed cycling at that level or any level really, but my understanding is that he's not like he was an outlier, but it's just unfortunate on a lot of levels, the whole thing. Tastefully Chaotic says, how long does it take to increase your VO2 max? I'm currently at 37, but I want to be around 50 like you guys. I don't know. I think that the answer is probably it depends, based on like where you're starting from. So I think like, if someone has not really been running regularly before, I would think that their VO2 max can improve relatively quickly. If someone's been running for years, then it probably takes a little bit longer to see improvements. But I think though, like the general way I understand like the body's response to the physical stimulus of certain types of workouts, and there are certain types of workouts that are more designed to work on improving the VO2 max. But those will take about 2 weeks for your body to really like absorb them and then respond to them. So that's kind of why like most taper programs, like when you're tapering for a marathon, that's why the taper kind of starts at 2 weeks out, because anything you do from before then isn't going to make you any stronger for the marathon. So you might as well try and find a way to absorb everything you've done to that point and recover from that and be as like injury free and as fresh as possible without losing any of that sharpness over that 2 weeks. So I feel like that's why 2 weeks is like a very common taper period, because of the fact that it takes. So I would say like it would take at least 2 weeks for you to see an improvement. I think any improvements that could happen inside 2 weeks would probably be things like, not physiological things, but things that are related to like being better at taking the test. Like if you've never done like a VO2 max where you like run to failure and like you didn't know what that was going to be like I didn't really know. I mean, I've run till I've bonked before, but like doing like a VO2 max test, then like the second time I do it, if I do one in a couple of days, I might do better, at least in time, like how long I can keep it up or how fast I can end up finishing at. Because like, okay, I'm comfortable with this level of discomfort now, and my brain is no longer freaking out and thinking we're going to die soon. So it can tolerate it rather than sending all these signals to my brain to quit. So I think that there's some psychological aspects to it too. But I think for the most part, to make a real, like actual physiological improvement would take at least 2 weeks. But I'm pretty new to VO2 max, so I don't know for sure. Rainrunner says, I think VO2 maxes are generally lower. Women's VO2 maxes are generally lower too. That's my understanding as well. And that's what, Jack Daniels is like my main authority that I've read. I know that lots of people have written about it, but that's the book that I have that talks a lot about it. And yeah, he kind of has like two sets of tables, one for men and one for women. All right. Sean Marshall says, Kofuzi Weird Run Podium Top 3. Freddy Krueger, Ivan Drago, and the old guy from Up. You think Freddy Krueger would beat Ivan Drago? Ivan Drago will break you. So, like, you're not going to beat him. I mean, did you see him run around that track? That guy was moving fast. That's funny. Martha says, when I was a kid and watched Wizard of Oz, I had nightmare about tornadoes. I grew up in LA, so never experienced a tornado, and that was enough for me. Oh, interesting. When I was very young, or probably too young for it, I watched Gremlins. Like one of my friends they had rented it. Remember that? Renting movies on VHS. And I watched it at their house, and we lived in an apartment complex. And by the time we finished the movie, it was dark, and I walked home alone by myself, which, this was like the 80s. So and I was maybe like 6 or 7, and it was just like 2 buildings over. So it was real close. I mean, I think I was on I think you could see my place from their place, I just had to go down and then make a right kind of thing. But yeah. So that was weird that I was able to walk home. But that movie, Gremlins, gave me nightmares for a long time. Another movie that gave me nightmares for a really long time was the movie Arachnophobia. Did you guys ever watch that? That movie gave me nightmares. Definitely. Daniel M says, Freddy Krueger's arm swing will be messed up because of the claw gloves. Well, I could tell you, I guess he couldn't, if he could switch it from hand to hand, that would help out. Because I could tell you, as someone that runs with something kind of awkward and a little bit heavy, in one hand a lot, like switching it does help, but I can see that it might be awkward for him. And he might have to like swing funny because, he wouldn't want to cut his own legs. So that's the thing. Mark Rainey says, we went from Halloween movies to Christmas. Is Gremlins is a Christmas movie? I don't remember that. All right. Link 130 boy says, according to Garmin, I started running in March with a VO2 max of 38. And 7 months later, I'm now around 45. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. So it can improve. That's a big improvement over 7 months. Awesome. Paul Kane says, no water after midnight. That movie is probably why I'm so terrified of opening the microwave without hitting like the stop button first. Not that happened in the movie, but like remember there was that weird scene where they microwaved a gremlin, or was that Gremlins 2? I don't remember. But yeah, I'm just terrified of. I use the microwave many times a day, but I'm still kind of terrified of it. Sean Marshall says, I had night terrors after Costner's Robin Hood. Don't even think that was scary. It wasn't, except for the mom. Was it the mom? Was it a mom that looked at all weird? They had her locked up in like the tower or something like that. Or was that a dad? I don't even remember. But I know what you're talking about. That was creepy. That part was like super creepy. But other than that, it wasn't that scary. Luis Becerra says, I live near the ocean and I'm still afraid of Jaws. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, funny. That's amazing. Christian says, I saw the original Alien on its premiere while on summer vacation in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in 1979. I was 9 years old. Spent most of the movie sitting backwards in the seat with face in the backrest. Oh, man, that's awesome. Really cool. Really cool. Oh, well, look at this from Link 130 boy. In the 7 months where he went from VO2 max of 38 to 45, he's also lost 30 pounds within that time span. That's great. Great work. Awesome. All right. Daniel M says, hard question, everybody. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, it is. Because it happens. It happens at Christmas. But it's not really about Yuletide. But then again, is Jingle All the Way really about Yuletide? It's kind of is in a way, because at the end they kind of wrap it up. But it's, the story happens around Christmas, I guess. But and Christmas in that instance, it drives it. But I don't think that in Die Hard, Christmas really drives the premise of the movie. So it's a movie that happens at Christmas. I can believe either answer, but if I got to pick, I'll say yes. I'll say yes. All right. Steve says, just looked at my VO2 in the health app. Pretty pleased with 51 looking at the tables online. He says, I don't trust it's accurate. Yeah, I'm not sure either in terms of the tables and what the numbers correlate to, but that's where I think I'm probably more realistically at, or maybe I'm somewhere between 51 and 56, but we'll keep playing around with it and we'll see how it goes. All right. Daniel says, no, he was setting us up for that question. He says, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. He says, I'm going to get banned. And Remy says, it's his favorite Christmas movie. My favorite Christmas movie is easily is Elf. That is my favorite. We watch it I think we just watched recently. Well, not that recently. We watched it though in July. We watch it all year round. I just enjoy that movie. It's super fun. There are so many things that I like about it. Christia says, Christmas is an ancillary detail used to provide comic relief to an action flick. Is Die Hard. It's not a complaint or Christmas criticism, just an observation. Yeah, I think that's more what it is. But I'm happy to call it a Christmas movie. Sean Marshall says Christmas Vacation is number one. Yeah, that's also a good one. We watched that one at our house a lot. And we watched it so much that my wife bought it on Blu-ray or maybe DVD very recently. And we were watching it last Christmas. And we were so used to always watching it on TV where all the curse words are either dubbed over or they cut those parts of the scenes out. that we forgot that there are quite a few bad words in that. And we were like watching it with our kids, and we were just like, whoops, we forgot about that. But, that's not words that they haven't heard before, I guess. Tastefully Chaotic says, my favorite Christmas movie is The Grinch. I just relate to him too much. That's awesome. That's awesome. Ines says, going back to the VO2 max discussion, I think adding the variety of some other training like mountain biking and circuit training helps VO2 max. I think that you're right on that. And, I've been thinking about it a lot. I was thinking about it today on my run because in that podcast I was listening to with Mario Ferrari and Killian Jornet, he was saying that the body gets accustomed to the training, whatever training you're doing. So you constantly have to switch up your training so that way you're giving it more stimulus. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, especially in the context of like low heart rate training and even 80-20 training. I'm like, well, I don't think I'm ready to switch off of it, but it just makes me, think, well, that 20% has to be pretty strategic, I think, and making sure that you're doing lots of other different kinds of things, or even within the 80% where I'm staying within low heart rate, switching it up to doing things like I've been starting to actually enjoy riding the bike. So I think that's a good way to kind of like make sure that the body is constantly like feeling new stimuli and adapting to them and constantly improving that way. So I think there's something definitely to that in us. Remy says, most of us are no longer non-elite according to the VO2 max numbers. Yeah, I think that's cool. I like that idea. Mark Janko says, is there syrup in spaghetti? No, is there sugar and syrup? Then yes, I would like some syrup. Let's see. Tony Massey says, Alpha is good, but The Grinch with Jim Carrey is so good too. See, I feel like that's a little bit more polarizing of a movie to enjoy. I do not like the Jim Carrey one. My daughter, the baby, loves the Jim Carrey one. And I tried to show her the cartoon version one time, because one time she was like, Daddy, let's watch The Grinch. And I was like, okay. And after having watched The Grinch like 3 times in a row, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to slide in the cartoon version, which I much prefer, and see if she'll tolerate it. And she freaked out. She goes, this is not the Grinch, Daddy. You told me you were going to put on the Grinch, and this is not the Grinch. I'm like, this is the Grinch. This is the original Grinch. The one that you watch is a remake of this one. This is the original one. It's better. She's like, I want to watch the Grinch. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So, I think that primacy goes a long way. Whichever one is the first one that you watch, it's maybe this is the one that you prefer. But I don't know if that's the case with you, Tony. But I like the face makeup and all the crooked angles of that. It's like very like which Batman movie was it with Mr. Freeze with Arnold Schwarzenegger? It just reminds me of that. And that's the one I think that had Robin in it as well, or one of the ones that had Robin in it. Yeah, like that one. I just I have a very strong reaction to that one. I can't watch that one. Adam Steve says, really? Every time it's hot out, my Garmin VO2 drops 5 points. Well, that's crazy. No, I didn't know that. Sean Marshall says, I am in stitches when Clark gets stuck in the attic, among many other scenes. Yeah, that movie is so good. And the physical comedy on that is really good. And just the pacing of the comedy is really funny as well. I just really enjoy it. I also just love Cousin Eddie. That's like my favorite character. Yeah. Let's see. Chris Yes says, the perfect movie for Kufuzi, Black Christmas, a Christmas horror movie. I didn't know that they made those. Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch it because I just really don't like horror movies. I can't stand them. Mark Rainey says, though, Harry Potter is good for Halloween and other holidays. Does it work for other holidays? Because I guess they do have they do spend the Christmas break there. I don't know if that's in the first one, but in some of them they do they do talk about Christmas break and summer breaks and stuff. But yeah, I do think it's good for Halloween. We watched Sorcerer's Stone frequently. My daughter really likes that one. She doesn't like the other ones quite as much, but she does like the Sorcerer's Stone, and I like that one too. That's a good one. Let's see what else we got. Let's get a couple more, and then I got to get going for today. Let's see. All right, let's go back down here. Giorgio Messidi says, "Hey, it's been a long time since last time I joined a live. About 2 months." Yeah, hey Giorgio, it's good to see you again. I recognize the last name, Messidi. Hopefully, I'm saying it right. But good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Daniel M says, "Chevy Chase is the Gerald Ford of physical comedy." That's interesting. Steve Gersdorf says, "Will Ferrell runs marathons. Does he run them funny?" Oh, I don't know. I didn't know he ran marathons. Every year I try to put together a list of like marathon, like celebrities that I hope that I'm faster than. And I did not know that Will Ferrell ran marathons. And it says, running coaches consistently say on podcasts, make your easy days easy and your hard days hard. It's really easy to blend them all the same if you don't watch. Yeah, that's true for sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Lanier says, who is the best Batman actor? And there's a lot of votes in here for Bale, I think. But I was the exact right age for the Michael Keaton Batman. So that's my vote. I really like that one. That and like Jack, the Joker in that movie. Who is that one? Jack Nick. I always forget. Is it Jack Nicklaus or Jack Nicholson? One's the golfer, one's a really great actor. But that, I think it was probably because I was the right age for when that movie came out. I also thought the score for that movie was really good. I like that one quite a bit. And then it went on a weird tangent, that whole series. I think it got like Hollywood got a hold of it, and then it got all weird, and it was no longer a good movie. But I do think that like the Christian Bale Batman makes it seem a lot more plausible in terms of the story of like the origin story of Batman. And I like that origin story a lot more. It's a lot more complicated. Stephen Gersdorf says Adam West. Yeah. Oh yeah. Martha and David probably help me out. It's Jack Nicholson is the best. I think he was the best Joker. I know that there's going to be a lot of disagreement on that one, but again, maybe primacy is what he was the first Joker that I saw, and I thought that was really good. Let's see, who's saying something about a fun trivia? Daniel M says a fun trivia would be guessing celebrity runners' marathon times. All right, well, I'll don't do any research, guys, between now and Tuesday. I'll put together a list of celebrity runners and their marathon times. And just to put it out there, I'm not going to try to embarrass any of the celebrities, but I'm going to try to find some celebrities, people that we don't like Will Ferrell, who we didn't know runs marathons, and see what their times are. I think with that. Colin Baker agreeing with me on the Nicholson Joker, but Rohan Crane saying that that agreed. No, not that. Where did it go? It keeps jumping on me. Where it jumped again. Rohan Crane says Heath Ledger Joker is definitely the creepiest. Yeah, it was creepy. Chris says, speaking of Keaton, there's a great documentary on Showtime about the Comedy Store. Interviews tons of the comics that grew up there and their struggles and triumphs. Oh, really cool. That's super cool. I love the way that comedy gets like retrospected in such like a glowing light. Like the rose of like nostalgia is particularly pink, I think, with comedy. Like the CNN series on like when they were like did like their documentaries on comedy, like always make comedy seem like a noble art. Not that it isn't, but I also feel like it's a gritty art. I feel like it's a grind, and I feel like you got to really work to be successful in comedy. And it's a lot of, I just feel like there's a lot of grinding in that industry, but like they make it seem so like, and I don't know, I haven't seen this documentary on Showtime about the Comedy Store, but I mean, I love comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I love watching those documentaries about comedy. So I'm gonna have to try and find that. All right. Chris says Sean Astin from the Lord of the Rings is a 404 marathoner. Oh, look at this. We'll end with this one for today. Martha says, I actually ran a half marathon in Napa, Sonoma area when Sarah Hall ran it, her first half marathon ever. She won it outright, of course. Speaking of celebs. That's so cool. That's so cool. Awesome. You know what, though? Like, if she had like DNF, then you'd finish that race. Then I think technically you would have beat Sarah Hall in a race. And so by like the transitive property, you would have basically be like a second place London marathoner. Awesome. Oh, and David Prabhu says, I did a triathlon with Serena Williams. That's awesome. I didn't know she did triathlons. Wow. Professional athletes. They're just like us, doing all this normal stuff. Super cool. Not that triathlons are normal. Those are pretty impressive, but very cool. All right. I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. Tomorrow's video, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video tomorrow. I think I might start taking, like, I've been trying to do like 6 videos a week. So maybe like Saturday or Sunday's been off. But I think for my schedule, taking Friday off might work better. So we might have a video in the morning. We might not. But we'll definitely have a live stream in the afternoon. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. Let me take this comment off. Hopefully we'll see you guys there. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. I had a great time. Hopefully you had a great time. Be safe out there until I can see you next one. Thanks everybody.